So, welcome to our video on understanding phonics. So, what is phonics? Phonics is a way of teaching children how to read and to write. It involves using sounds of individual letters and groups of letters to build up different words. So the written language is like a code, so knowing the sounds of individual letters or groups of letters help children to decode the words that they're using. Also, understanding phonics helps children to know which letters they should be using when they are spelling their own words. So before we get started into the different sounds that we have in our phonics lessons, there is a range of vocabulary that you might come across when helping your child with their homework. So first of all, we have the word phoneme, and phoneme is just the word for a single unit of sound that's spoken in a word. And a grapheme is when you take that letter and it makes a single sound, like a, b, k. Sometimes you join more than one letter together to make up a sound, two graphemes making a single sound. So you've got ch, sh, and a up here, and you can take that a step further to have a blend of three letters to make sounds. I, for example. Split digraph, also known as the magic E, is when we split the long vowel sound. Segmenting, so that means you're splitting up the word to sound it out. Also, it helps you to spell the word. And blending is when you put these all together to make the full word. A, b, k, or k, a, t spells cat. Yeah. And finally, this is something that comes up in homework, diacritical marking. So it's about identifying the sounds by putting dots under graphemes and lines under. Okay, so let's take a closer look at some of those concepts that we were looking at on the previous slide. So when we come to look closer at the sounds that are made up in the English language, we can split them into consonant sounds and vowel sounds. So taking a quick look at the consonant sounds first, we can have single consonant sounds known as graphemes, or we can have a blend of consonants. And here we have our single sounds, or single graphemes. So we've got B, C, and D, and that sounds B, K, and D as the single unit of sound known as graphemes there. As we move on to some of the blends of sound, we can have two letters joined together. These are called digraphs. And here, if I was to sound out the word using graphemes, it would go k, h, but actually together we sound that sound ch. The same goes for the next word, or the next sound. We have t and h. If we were to sound that out using single graphemes, but actually together we say th. And finally we have s, h, and together that makes a sh sound. So that's two letters together, two consonant letters together, forming a digraph. And finally, sometimes we have three letters that go together to make up a sound. Here we have t, h, r, and together that would make thr sound, or sp, l, and together we have spl. As a trigraph there, a combination of three letters together. So let's take a closer look at vowels. So here, vowels can be a little bit more complicated than our consonants, just because there are more combinations and more ways of looking at them. So if we start first with our short vowel sounds, we have the letters A, E, I, O, U here, but when we read those, they sound a, e, o, when they stand alone without any other letters with them. So for example, if we have the word cat, we have k, a, t. That a there is a short sound because it is sounding a and not a. Another way of looking at our long vowel sound. So here we have digraphs, so two letters going together to make a long vowel sound. And the long vowel sound is when the letter vowels say their letter names, so A, E, I, O, U. One way of remembering it is if two vowels go out walking, the first one does the talking. So here we have two vowels, A and I, and the first vowel, which is the letter A, is going to say its letter name. So together that would sound A. In this situation as well, the letter Y is considered a vowel, so A, Y would also sound A. So here we have, again, two vowels out walking. We have E and E. So the first one is going to say its letter name, which is E. And also here we have the Y, E, Y. That's going to sound E as in key. So here we have I and E. That's going to sound I. O and A is going to sound O. and U and E sounds oo. Another way that we can create long vowels is with trigraphs and quadgraphs, so 3 or 4 letters together. So here we have I, G, and H together, and together that would sound I, as in might, for example, M-I-T, might. And here we have O-U-G-H, that sounds O, as in though. Perfect. So moving on to our last section, we have split vowel digraphs, which is like the magic E. So here we have a something E, and that magic E then changes that A sound to an A sound. So here, if we were spelling it out as we would normally, it would sound k-a-k-a. But actually that E changes the A sound to an A sound, so it becomes k-a-k, cake. And the same here, we have line. If we read it normally using phonics, it would be l-e-n-e, but it's a magic E. That E changes the I sound to an I sound, so the word becomes line.